there's any bits you want to do now, then time.
I used all my good bits last night on your mom.
Wow, sounds
Got him.
dusty.
Dusty. Wow. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Don't like it. Don't like it.
Let me see this beard.
I don't. I want it gone. Like it's. I've still got
Oh,
3
you're
weeks
only
left.
at least 3 weeks.
3 weeks left.
At least 3 weeks. It looks good.
You think we're getting $1,600 that next time?
No, that's not what it is it? Is that how we're
Yeah,
doing it? I
because
thought
it's
we.
supposed to increase every time,
All
and the
right. I
last
mean,
one was
I
1,500.
thought we
So
were going. Yeah, but it's supposed to increase from the base weekly level.
yeah, but then I'm really getting ripped off there if it's just staying at 500 was the first one and
Hey,
going up
if you
to.
don't want free money to.
I mean, it needs to go up at least as much as it would have gone up in those 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, but I
Because
think you go back to the weekly basis, or else there's no point in.
well, yeah, it's still just it has to go back. It has to go up at least something from the original number, right?
Yeah, so it was like 400. I think it should go up to like.
You sound kind of weird.
Do I?
It's a little
Uh,
droidy. I don't know if
little.
that's.
Oh yeah, hold on. August was fucking with my stuff. Is that better?
Say some more.
Test, test, test.
Yes, that's much
Okay.
better.
Yeah, he was messing with my XLR.
Well, you sound fine now.
That's good.
Ready to talk about
Oh,
some Young Jedi Knights?
oh my god! I wish I'd done that on camera. A fly. Did that get? I don't think that caught it. A fly just came by and I just fucking snatched it right out of midair.
Is it in your hand right now?
No, because I didn't kill it.
Oh, well, I don't think anyone can believe you then.
Yeah, fuck.
Right. Well, hello everyone and welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast hosted by myself and my co-host, who is effervescent, evasive, energetic, and all the other E words. It's EckhartsLadder, that other E word.
Hey, how's it
See,
going?
I need to make sure that people knew that's why I used those words. But
I didn't pick up on that, so I'm really glad. I'm really glad you covered that.
someone's gonna go back and find an episode where I didn't use an E word, but that one doesn't count. But how are you doing, Mr. Justin EckhartsLadder, last name?
I'm doing well. I'm definitely doing well. No complaints. Life's good. Drinking my Timmies. I'm ready to talk about some burgeoning Jedi and half naked centaur. And yeah,
Ready to
good night.
watch the Canadians take on Golden Knights?
Yeah, you got it, dude. Yeah, ready to watch the Canadians. So like, I'm a Rangers fan, and like, if you're I'm in a very tough situation this year because I don't want Tampa to win, because they won last year. So that means I got to cheer for the Islanders, and the Islanders are like another New York team, and it's pretty much illegal to do that. So that's one thing. And then I'm also cheering for the Canadians, and my second team's the Maple Leafs, and I hate Canadians fans, so it's like I'm not being my true self this year. But
I have an old coworker who I think has a Carey Price body pillow, so
I
my
like Carey.
Facebook chat with some of my old coworkers from McDonald's has just been Carey Price for the last 4 days.
Yeah, it's like I never even had a problem with the Canadians teams. Like I actually even really like the team this year. Just like the fans are so goddamn obnoxious.
Speaking of things with fans who are so goddamn obnoxious, it's time to talk some Star Wars. So, what did you think about today's book, Young Jedi Knights? Or is there any other
Before we
news
get
that you
into
want
that,
to talk
yeah, before
about?
we get into that, I do have other news we want to talk about because there's something that's actually very relevant to this podcast. So the first Essential Legends collections books dropped on the 15th, I think. Just check my notes. And so that was a reprinting of Heir to the Empire and Bane Book 1. The
And
latter of which
Shatterpoint?
yeah, and Shatterpoint. But Shatterpoint also for the first time got an unabridged audiobook, which is exciting for people like me who really enjoy the audiobooks. But they also announced that we will be getting a second round of the Essential Legends collection, including the 2 books that I just mentioned, the sequels to them, and the also one of our favorite books, Rogue Squadron, book 1 of
Yeah.
the X-Wing series.
Do you think they're gonna do the other X-Wing books at all? Like maybe even just Wraith with this?
I'm not sure, but we do know that we're also getting the unabridged X-Wing book, which is like a
Right.
long time coming, and like that's
The
for me what
audiobook.
I'm most
Yeah.
yeah, the audiobook, yeah. So that's like what I'm most excited about. And we do know you probably got this email too because you're on the mailing list now, right? That they're doing at least it seemed like they're doing this for the coming little while. We're at least getting a 4th collection in the spring, and then it seems like more are coming after that. So yeah.
I don't know that I actually got the emails. Like I got the books, which are helpful, but
Hmm.
yeah, I
Yeah,
really like the art on these.
I didn't get the books, so
Do you
I'd
think
rather have
maybe
the
they
book than the
think
email.
that you were just like updating your mailing address when you gave them mine and I'm getting stuff you should have? Did you get Light of the
I did
Jedi?
get edit or
Not
that the
Light of
next one?
the
Yeah, yeah,
whichever
whatever
one
it's
it's
called.
called.
Yeah,
Okay.
darkness something.
So
Yeah, yeah. Nice hardcover.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you get on the Disney Plus list too?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you doing
Uh
that the screener that's coming up?
I don't think so. I'm
Okay,
not sure which screener you're talking about.
I think we can say there's the is it a B? No, okay. There's a black. It's for Black Widow.
Okay,
They're
yeah,
gonna
I
yeah.
thought you were talking about something Star Warsy. Like yeah,
No, no. I just thought I might just because you can just do it online too, right?
yeah.
So that's cool. So I might just do
Like
that.
the first 2 Loki episodes were available for
Hmm.
us.
Yeah.
Pretty epic.
I still haven't watched those yet. Hold on.
Where
Someone
have
just randomly put. Oh, my son was posting stuff to my Facebook too. Oh my god.
I?
So he was up here sitting on my lap because I was putting a video out right before Tapcaf, and then I had to put him to bed. And yeah, he was just hitting shit on the keys. I thought it was fine, but no, he posted that I went to a restaurant that I didn't go to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually people have got to pay you to get you to say that you've gone somewhere.
Yeah, he's a little rascal to put it lightly.
Speaking of the Little Rascals, should we be doing a Little Rascals recap podcast at some point? Or
No, but that does remind me. Should we did skip talking. We did skip the Bad Batch. We were gonna
we
do it
did?
last week. Kind of just decided not to. Um, and do you want to give brief thoughts on that? Just very brief, like we can do 10 minutes or
Bane's
less.
back. That's
Yeah,
someone said
Cad
it was
Bane.
huge.
Yeah, it is. It is huge. I mean, I thought those 2 episodes were actually really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought the 2 episodes were really good. Probably, I think the one before this one was probably my favorite of the series so far, maybe in total. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were both really good. The Cad Bane coming back, there was a lot of discussion about like all characters returning stuff, whether that's good or bad.
Hmm.
And like I don't like when stuff happens too often. When you have too many characters returning that are unrelated to what's going on, but I think these have so far been characters that have a decent reason to show back up. So
Hmm.
it hasn't bothered me too much. Especially with
Yeah, no.
connected properties, then you kind of know going in that you're going to get something.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Martez sisters were a lot more egregious than Cad Bane. And yeah, I didn't even have a problem with that. Um, and yeah, it's just I think we're gonna have a lot of Cad Bane episodes. I don't think they brought Cad Bane back just to kill him off or whatever, or to make him disappear. Like I think next episode will probably be them returning to Fennec Shand, and
Yeah.
I think they'll probably track Cad Bane down together. Um, but yeah, who knows? I wonder if she'll make it back to Camino. Either way, people complaining about the show being slow will probably like they've got nothing to complain about after those last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I hate that
I
complaint. Like
don't.
you,
Yeah, the thing about filler episodes, using that term to apply to episodes that are very clearly building like character development.
mhm. Yeah,
It's
and it's like it like I said this with the Mandalorian too. If every episode is a big one, then
no
none are.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's interesting. Like season one did that even better than season two, I think, where like you spend a lot of time like exploring the galaxy. You know, you've got that episode where they're defending the village and stuff, and then like by the time you get to the end, it's like a really oh shit moment. So
Yeah. Yeah, like there not every episode has to advance the primary goal of the plot. As long as it's doing something to develop the characters,
mhm.
that's not filler.
Yeah,
That's
no,
not what that
totally.
word means. I think it's just one of those words or terms that gets picked up on the internet and people apply to anything that they personally don't like, or even just want to sound clever for using a term to critique something.
Like the word trope. Be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, that has tropes in it." It's like, "Yeah, it's media. It has tropes."
Or like us calling things slice of life. We haven't done that in a while, but we're doing it
It's
in the
not really
opposite direction. It's a
and I don't
positive
know why
thing,
you're
but
criticizing, that as us, because that's not us who does that, that's me. If you wanna insult me, just do it.
I'm trying to show that we're a team here. When one of us does something wrong, then both of us are doing something wrong. Unless you do something really wrong, then I'm disavowing you.
Yeah, I can't wait till it get canceled next week and someone pulls that clip and is like, "He said it, he knew." Um, yeah, so I forgot what I was gonna say. Good stuff. Should we talk about what we're doing next week as well? Because I don't think we had formally announced it. We were talking about um, maybe doing Lost Stars, but we've kind of had a change of plans, right?
Yeah, so we really want to get Lost Stars at a time that we can rope in Alex from Star Wars Explained. We made that commitment live, so that'll probably be best planned around him. Next week, we have decided to do. I
Can
don't
we
know if
both
anyone
do
could hear
drums
the room
there?
roll. Yeah,
I was
okay.
doing it too.
I couldn't hear yours. I wasn't sure if you could hear mine or if anyone could hear either of ours, but
We're doing the Rising Storm next week. That is the one, right? The
yeah.
Rising Storm. And I actually just heard back from Alex, and he would like to join us.
Oh, for Rising Storm,
Um,
cool.
yeah. So assuming our schedules all work out, which I think they will, even if we need to move in off Thursday, we'll work the details off
Yeah,
that. That
we'll
will be
prioritize accommodating him on that.
because he's a lot big. Well, he's read everything High Republic and all the comics and stuff. Where
Yeah,
we're more casual. I was hoping to get to reread the first book.
not
I don't
happening.
think I'm. Yeah, it's really long.
Yeah, this one has 76 chapters or something. It's 450 pages, so the fact that there's so many chapters means that a lot of those pages are just half pages with the chapter info on it. But
mhm, yeah. So there's a few a few people who do like really good book reviews. So I'll probably just watch one of those. Kind of what I've been doing. That's what I did before the recent Thrawn book, where I like remembered nothing.
yeah,
I still feel like I kind of get the general ideas, but I wonder because like I know that they've been establishing things like in the other books. Like I know there's those like plant guys, the big plant enemies that I know nothing about. The Dengear, I think.
you're talking about Dengar, the bounty hunter who appears in this book.
Oh yeah, and his
So
love of plants. Sorry, I got mixed up.
we'll be continuing the High Republic next week. You can mark Shinro that down on your calendars right now. And we did get a question about Shatterpoint, asking if we were
Hmm.
going to cover it at any point soon. And I do think that would be a good one to go to,
Yeah, I was gonna say
because
that
like
too.
with the Essential Legends stuff coming out, but also with my recent Matthew Stover kick.
Mm. Yeah, no, we could do that afterwards, maybe.
Anything to put off Black Fleet Crisis.
Yeah, we're really putting this shit off.
So
I don't even dislike it as much as you either. So
it's just weird. I don't know.
yeah,
So we could do High Republic as the next book, then Shatterpoint, and then Black Fleet Crisis as we march
yeah. I'm
inexorably
not gonna commit
towards the
to.
NJO.
I'm not gonna commit to Black Fleet Crisis like right after that. But I like that general idea. Like maybe we might have to throw in another Young Jedi Knight book.
Okay, well, I mean, as the next novel we cover, because we'd
Oh yeah,
probably have a
okay.
week of NJ or YJK between.
Yeah.
So, because like we're
Yeah.
not doing huge novel, huge novel, huge novel. That would be
Right. Yeah. We'll probably do like High Republic, then Young Jedi Knight, then um,
Shatterpoint, then Young Jedi
yeah.
Knight, then uh, Black Fleet Crisis, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this book that we read today. I read today. Did you read it today?
I read it today. We got all our patio furniture, so Dan and I went outside, sat down with a nice Young Jedi Knight book, and read that outside. So yeah, it was healthy, nice
Mhm.
fresh air, nice sunlight shining down onto my pale skin.
I've got very dark skin actually. I mean, I'm a white person. I've got, I don't have very dark skin, but I've got very tanned skin right now because I'm irresponsible with sunscreen. Um, Although you can't tell in my white light, but like I put my hand next to my kids, and it's just like they're fully
Mhm.
protected from the sun. This like beautiful baby skin, and it's just like me. I'm just like burnt and anyway. The book. Um, what were your thoughts? General impressions. Did you like this one?
I did. I think generally I've been enjoying uh the series more as it goes along, and this
Hmm.
has been no exception to that. Like I think it's getting better with the characters.
I
Uh,
agree.
like in a lot of the early ones, there was the one self-contained adventure, and there were a few catchphrases basically each of the kids had. Like
Hmm.
Jason only existed to tell jokes. Uh, or Jaina only existed to say something would be fun to tinker with. But we've started establishing who the characters are. They still do those things, but they do other stuff along with that as well. And I mean, it's still kids' book. That's kind of more what the young reader books are always gonna be like. But we're getting into some of the longer plots, deeper plots, and I think it's been really good.
Yeah, we're also getting like into the full angsty romance as well.
Yeah,
Like the first third of this book was just like the kids pining after their lovers.
yeah.
So it's Lobaka and Lady Lobaka. It's
Jaina and
it's like
Zek,
Jaina and Zach and Jason and Telka, which like Jason, she's there. It's
and
like
don't forget Raynar and Lucy.
that was really funny. So the way this worked out, we didn't plan it like this, but she was in the Crystal Star, and I believe I mentioned
You didn't
because I
plan
was
it like
reading
this.
I was reading this book, and I was like, oh yeah, which book was she in again? Was it the last Young Jedi Knights book we read? I was like, no wait, it was Crystal Star. Because I remember we were reading
Yeah.
that, and I mentioned that I thought she reappeared, and it's kind of funny too because it's like probably a decade later or so, or maybe like I think 8 years later.
Yeah.
Um, and it's also kind of funny too because this is gonna sound weird because it is weird, but she's like described as being half naked.
Yes.
And it's just kind of funny that like Raynar's stumbling over his words and not able to talk to her. It's like maybe he's probably not in love with her. It's just the first pair of boobs he's ever seen.
Well, I don't know how directly mammalian the upper body is. I mean, it's Star Wars. It's almost certainly
Yeah.
exactly just a human woman's upper body.
Although the one thing that was weird is it did describe her as having a mane, which is like so like does she have a mane running down her back? Like
Yeah.
is it just her hair? I don't know. But yeah.
I think it's probably both. It's like regular hair, but then it also just runs straight back down her back. But yeah, we got Raynar and Lucy.
Mhm.
So there's just so many pairings happening. Lucy doesn't show up on the mission to Mercure, doesn't get mentioned at the conclave of the name of Seacot. So we can say here and now, she dies.
Yeah, I don't know what happens to her, but surely nothing good.
She dies off screen. She's too busy to go to Zanema Seacot that day, and like everyone's at Zanema Seacot. I just finished my NJO reread, and there's a sentence towards the end where like all the Jedi are on Zanema Seacot, and
Mhm.
James Lucino just lists all the Jedi that are there. Makes
Oh,
a
really?
big fat old list, and there's like 37 names he gives. Then he gives the name of 5 of the kids, so like Ben, Gisela, Valen, and says and 20 other kids. So
Mhm.
there's It seems like the Jedi Order because he says all the Jedi are there. So you could probably say like,
Is
oh,
this
maybe
like
for that
after
view.
the battle when they're like seeing the Vong off?
Yeah, this is when like the Battle of Coruscant's over,
Okay.
the war's over, then MSC Cot's about to fly off and take the Vong to another part of the galaxy. There's a lot. I actually, having reread it now, I don't dislike what happened with Son MSC Cot. I think it actually makes a lot more sense and is handled a lot better than what I'd remembered. It's Dark Nest where some of the developments seem to get kind of pushed aside, but even then, there's 5 years between
It's
them.
not the flashiest ending. I think is one thing a lot of people had a problem with.
Well, I think enough gets like explained as to what's going to be going on that some of the issues I had with it thinking back without having read it recently enough are kind of resolved in just the way Zone Cot. Like it's not like Zone Cot comes in, all the Vong step onto it and leave. Like there's 2 books worth of build up on why it's important. Then it's even left open of like the people who were at Coruscant got on, some other people came back, but there are still large groups of Yuzon Vong elsewhere
They're
that they
not
need to
gonna
go kill.
retreat or yeah.
Yeah, so
That was probably my biggest problem with Legacy and Fate of the Jedi and Swarm War. It's like the Vong just disappear.
well, there's
Um,
5 years between NJO and Dark Nest, and so
yeah, but I mean, still, like, I don't know, like it's galaxy changing event, and like the biggest thing we
yeah,
get mentioned is like there's still some coral in Coruscant
yeah,
Undercity.
like in in
Well,
Unifying Force, they talk about how Coruscant's not going to be inhabitable for 100 years. It'll be decades before anyone can live there again. 5 years
mhm,
later in Darkness, they're all just back. And Luke even says,
yeah.
"Yeah, I'm not thinking we're going to go and try to reclaim Yavin as a Jedi temple again. Everyone's really excited to go to Ossus, and then they're immediately back on Yavin."
I didn't
But
realize he took Yavin back. I didn't remember that.
well, the Praxium on Yavin is still being used in Darkness, isn't it? Or is it on
I don't think
Ossus?
so. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm about to
I
reread
think isn't he
Darkness
back at
notes.
the Jedi Temple at that point? I
Well, they're
thought.
using Coruscant, but they also have the Praxium, and I thought the Praxium was on Yavin, and that's where Cam and Tion were. Where is
I
it
don't
that
think
Jason goes
so.
and like annihilates all of them?
Yeah, maybe that's I can't remember because I remember
It
that
might
scene
be
where they're all being
Ossus,
where
but
they're all being tortured. I can't remember though.
yeah, like it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering that too.
No, you
Because,
might be right because now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
but
Hmm.
anyways, Young Jedi Knights.
Hmm.
Lusa probably dies. Is the point? Uh,
Rip.
does she come up anywhere else? Maybe.
I think she's in. She must get a name drop somewhere.
Well, I mean, anywhere that might confirm her as being dead or not later on. Oh,
Let
okay.
me.
What? This is unsourced, but Wikipedia says during the Yuzon Vong War, Lusa was resting in a field on Chiron when a Voxen struck her down. Ooh, she was mentioned in Star by Star. Okay, so
Okay, hold
that's
on. I've got
that's
Star by
rough.
Star. Let me just see. I've got it pretty much open right here. Um, just so I can ruin this book for everybody. Is it how do you spell her name again? Is it Lusa?
Lusa.
Lusa, right? Oh yeah. Anakin voice cracking. Lusa was one. Someone else has died. She asked, fearing the truth even as she surmised it. Lusa, Anakin said, voice cracking. Lusa was one of their close friends from the academy on Yavin 4. Anakin gestured vaguely towards the frozen carcasses in the tissue locker. A pack of Vox and ran her down. So
Gross. Do you have a tissue locker?
that's that. And the thing is, that's the first time she's mentioned in that book. So she is killed
Yeah,
off screen.
that's the only time she's mentioned in any book after Young Jedi Knights.
And then Raynar is eager to avenge her death. So it's a nice bit of
Yeah,
continuity there.
yeah. Well, we'll see what develops between them in the next few Young Jedi Knight books because she does show up for the rest of the series, I think.
She shows
Uh,
up anytime Cam Solisar is mentioned because Lusa's right in the last name there.
that's true. That doesn't help when searching.
Can't spell Solisar without Lusa.
That's his motto. It was weird because a lot of the students were asking why he kept saying that after the Vong War.
Yeah. Um,
So
I guess
which
Anakin was friends with Lusa as well. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
he was on
he was
the
there with Hethrier and everything, and then he's at the Jedi Academy with them, so makes sense.
yep.
But of the, I guess that's four pairings. Obviously, Raynar and Lusa is the most awkward. Which is the least awkward? Or am I wrong? Is Raynar
Well,
and Lusa not the most awkward? Does Jaina
okay,
Zek take the cake on the messages there?
they're all pretty close, besides for Chewie and his girl, who are just like banging all night. Like they just disappear for hours, and like everyone knows, just when she shows up, just leave them alone. They're like they're going to play in the river now. You don't want to see what's about to happen.
But they're also joining a cult.
Yeah, that reminded me. So what's her name again? So I can stop calling her Mrs.
Raba?
Lubaka. Yeah, Raba. I'm terrible with names. If you guys haven't noticed yet by this episode, Raba shows up and basically pulls the fucking multi-level marketing scam on Lubaka. She's like, "Hey, do you want to chat about something interesting?" And he's like, "Sure." And then it's like, "I've got this business opportunity where you can be your own boss," and he gets pulled into some bullshit, and like he likes her too much to say no, basically. But she, of course, was pulled in herself by the Diversity Alliance, um, and which is becoming, well, it not becoming more fanatical, but we're learning more about it, and we learn their ultimate goal in this episode. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about this a lot. We gave the overview of the Diversity Alliance in the last episode. So if you haven't listened to the episode about the Diversity Alliance book, then you should probably do that. If you, unless you don't care, then don't. But yeah, their plan now is going to be to wipe out all humans,
Hmm.
and they're going to be using a kind of flip side version of the Krytos virus for this,
Hmm.
developed by the same guy who developed that, which is Evir Dericote.
Hmm.
So the Krytos virus was a virus that was able to kill pretty much anyone who wasn't a human, and this is just a virus that's going to kill anyone who is a
Easily
human.
healed, though. Easily healed through Bacta,
Yeah,
which was the whole point. Try to bankrupt the New Republic or develop like animosity against the New Republic.
yeah. But the plan with this is to kill all the humans, and they're hoping that that they'll be able to let a sample out somewhere and it'll spread through the galaxy. They tried that with, was it? It's not Galanor. It's just, it was a different, because Galanor is one of the Haven worlds. It's the G world that came up.
Galenate, yeah. Whatever it's
Uh,
called.
the world that Zek met Boba Fett on last time. We find out that that was where one of the samples had been released, but no one actually left the planet in time to kill
Yeah,
everyone.
and I know why. Because it kills you in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, so what we've all learned during COVID, or just from playing Pandemic, or what's the game called, where Madagascar would make
Yeah.
everyone lose, you
Yeah.
you don't want to have something that kills people right away if you're trying to wipe out everyone.
Hmm.
Then yeah, it's dangerous because it'll kill a lot of people, but it's not going to last long. It's not going to spread. You're not going to wipe out the whole galaxy with that.
Yeah,
So
because
come
it's
on.
literally like so she uses it on the funny enough, the Royal Guards who basically created the Shadow Academy in the Empire Reborn. She uses it on them and they're dead literally within like 30 seconds, it seems.
Yeah,
And they
like,
can't move
well,
the whole time. They're like they're having violent obvious death.
yeah, like they're able to infect the guy and watch him die in this book. It's like, I wonder why our virus didn't spread throughout the galaxy. Like, even if someone flew away from the planet on a ship while this is happening, they're not going to make it. They're just going to die in their ship in hyperspace. No one's going to get to Coruscant with this. No one's going to get to Karita
Yeah,
with no one.
especially because
Well, no
they
one's getting to Karita
no one's
anyway.
getting to
But
Karita, yeah. But especially because they specifically say that it can't stay in the air. It needs to be in a host.
yeah,
I mean, maybe a dead host can hold it for a while, and you get a bit more kind of transfer that way. I mean, you drop it on Coruscant, you can still probably, just because people are packed so closely, you can still probably kill a couple million. But the Krytos virus is like it was first. I think you have no symptoms for a while, and then
yeah,
it's extremely contagious. Um, and like that was smart,
yeah,
but even that they managed to hold on Coruscant, so this has
yeah.
no chance. Like they'll need to release this on every single planet, like multiple times.
Yeah, like they needed to consult an epidemiologist or a virologist for this, like Michael Stackpole, or was that Aaron Alston? I think it was Stackpole.
The Doctor?
No,
Oh, the
the
book. Yeah,
author of
that was Stackpole. Yeah,
those, yeah, because Krytos
'cause that
viruses.
was
Yeah.
that was Rogue Squadron. Yeah, yeah, but kind of still. I mean, and I was kind of thinking because we do get to see a bit of the virus from the other perspective. I don't know why my webcam's unfocusing. But the virus from the other perspective in the last book, where like we're watching, there's like an old security footage, and even in that, it's still maybe not quite as quick, but still pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I mean, it did wipe out that whole planet, so maybe we're chatting shit for no reason.
Well, it seems like that was a small town and everyone was super close together. And like it still did that over the course of at most a week or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was the guy who died in jail, and it didn't even get him. He just died in jail. So it was quick enough that no one actually had a chance to go talk to him. Like I don't know if it was a festival everyone else was at and they just fell dead, but it. And then as soon as like Boba and Zek get there pretty quickly, and they're fine because it can't survive in the air away from the host at all. So it's
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Um, yeah, not a great plan, just overall.
Mhm.
But it did give me a good, did give me a very good video title. The bioweapon that even Palpatine was too afraid to use. Like that's gonna be a banger of a video.
Oh, yeah.
I already started working on it. Mhm.
All right, but I get the one about IG-88 hacking the Death Star.
Deal.
Okay, it won't do as well as the other one, but
Hey,
fine.
if you want to make the video too, feel free. I don't mind.
Oh, that's nice of you as the man who holds the Star Wars copyrights to let me make the video.
I have the copyright to our friendship.
That's true. I did sign something that says that.
Yep, you should
That
have read it, bud.
is the downside of us doing the podcast like this so often, because we're always reading the same thing at the same time, which means we're always going to come across the stuff that makes good videos at the same time.
Yeah.
But that just means that it's more videos linking to each other because people will watch one, they'll go watch the other, and yeah.
Yep.
So
No,
if
it's
you want to
natural.
do a video on Thrawn's secret super weapon or Thrawn's secret weapon at the Battle of Bilbringi, then feel free.
What was it? I didn't watch that video yet.
It was a Golan 2.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
cloaked.
mean,
And
it was secret. Yeah. I thought you were gonna talk about like I don't even know. But yeah, that's a good one. How'd that video do for you?
good, fine. 3,000 views. For me, that's good.
Times are rough right now.
Yeah. Well, especially when I haven't done more than a video a week since the start of the year. I'm finally starting to do 3, which is a much better amount.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 is definitely larger than 1.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so what else do you want to talk about this book? So we talked about how it's very angsty. Everyone's missing their cutie pie BF/GF, probably changing their MSN statuses. What else do you want to cover?
Well, this whole plot has so far between the two books just been a bunch of stuff about people doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Like on the side of the heroes, like outside the Diversity Alliance. Like shouldn't be doing as in they're doing things they're all bad at. Where like, yeah, we've got the Zek subplot where he's becoming a bounty hunter, and he clearly shouldn't be a bounty hunter. He doesn't want to be a bounty hunter when he gets down to like stuff he's trying to do or not do. And he's finally in like the latter parts of this book, we get an acknowledgement that he's aware that him doing this job is going to bring him into conflict with what Jaina and Jason want, for example. But he's doing it to make a name for himself so he can feel better about going back to the academy. Like you're doing the exact same thing that became a problem with the Shadow Academy. You're like trying to live up to what you think the status is of these other people by doing just dumb, evil crap. And yeah, hunting for the father of their new friend is probably not going to endear you to the Young Jedi Knights very much. Then on the Thol side, you've got Tycho, who apparently staged his own capture last time. You have Bornin, who's trying to disguise himself and being immediately sussed out while trying to pass along the information about the weapon. And he's doing this in really dumb ways, where it's like, if you're trying to hide or if you need protection and you're trying to get the information out about the fact that the Diversity Alliance is going to kill everyone, go to Coruscant. Like,
Mhm.
tell the New Republic, hey, this might happen. Please hide me. I'm being hunted for. Don't go to bars calling for bounty hunters when they're all going to be looking for you.
I mean, to
My
be fair,
God.
they do kind of cover that though, where she's like, he might be worried we've infiltrated the government, and we have.
Yeah, but like, he's still telling his wife and son.
He
He's
should go to
hoping
Luke.
this. Like, yeah, there's people out there who he knows he can trust at to not be the people who have been infiltrated. Like,
Like Leia.
otherwise, what is he trying to do? Like, does he think
Mhm.
that Born Aaron Industries is going to take care of it all themselves? No, because
Mhm.
they're all incompetent too.
He's like, guess I'll just die.
Yeah,
Pretty
eventually.
much. Yeah. But I mean, it is an interesting. It's still kind of an interesting plot, and like until I mean, even in the last book, we still didn't know exactly why he was being tracked. We knew it had
Yeah,
something to do with the weapon, and we didn't know why his brother was being tracked by the IG droids, which we kind of had the explanation of in this book. Um,
because he's a moron. Yes.
yeah, but also kind of the only one who's right at it. Well, he's not.
Is
He's
he?
kind of right.
What's he right about?
Well, he thinks that his brother got in over his head on some business deal, which is pretty much it.
Kind of. Like, very broadly speaking, he thought he was running a scam and now like owes people money, and he's not actually in any danger.
Yeah.
Which is why he did his whole scam to get captured with the kids when they were fighting the spiders. And the kids are super upset by this because, like, oh, so you had us in this fight with the droids. You got captured. Were we going to die? Oh, no, my droids would never have killed you. They don't kill humans. So Loey was going to die? Well,
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah. It's like I actually don't give a shit about him. He might have died. It is what it is. That's
Yeah.
basically what he says. And they're like, yeah, that's actually not cool of you.
Which is why I've come. I know there's still like 5 books left in this cycle, but or that would be a cycle. There's 5 books left in this series, so I've come to a compromise that I think everyone will be okay with that can mend the gap between the New Republic and the Diversity Alliance, and I
Let's
think
hear it.
everyone wins.
Okay.
They should make a deal where the Diversity Alliance gets Tycho, and that's it. Like, I'd be happy with that. The Shistavanian can eat him,
Hmm.
and then like the galaxy's a better place. It doesn't have Tycho Thull in it. They
Yeah.
have a symbolic human who both sucks and was okay if they died to scapegoat, and then there can be a ceremonial dinner of Tycho, and then everyone can get back to healing the
Hmm.
inequalities in the galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, I think they want to kill everybody, so I don't know if they're going to go for that, but I like your thinking.
Well, they can kill Tycho. I feel like you're missing just how good of a proposition that is. It's the guaranteed death of Tycho Thull.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Also, that I had a one funny note in here. Just reading some of my notes. Did you get that part with Gav, uh, Dragonian or whatever his name was? It was like
uh,
this in
yeah,
the book
Gavin Jory. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the book autocorrects it to gay. So I looked
Hmm.
up gay in his last name because I didn't know who the character was, and autocorrected to gay dragons. So I got that in my search history now. I
It's
was
getting
like,
worse than X2.
I was like, his name might have been. Well, no, not even close. Like his name might be gay. Like no reason why it couldn't be.
Yeah, it's a real
Yeah,
name.
yeah. In Star Wars, I don't. It might even be a real name in real life. I don't know.
And Jory Daragon is not the same as Jory Carver, right? A different entity. It's not like
I have no.
a maiden name or something.
I've got no clue. I didn't even know who they were.
Hmm.
That's older. That's old Republic stuff.
That's not your area.
No, not at all.
Not yet. Not until we read details of the Jedi comics, right? And the books, like the Revan books and everything.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to read the books.
Me too.
Less excited about the comics are cool too because they're kind of like straight out of '90s, right? Most of them.
Yeah,
So I like the art style in them.
yeah.
Uh,
Like the
we'll
Tales
get
stuff
some.
is pre-KOTOR.
Yeah,
both in release and in time period.
and I think we'll get some Exarchun, won't we?
Exarchun.
Yeah, I think so. So that's neat. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Uh, so Jaina is struggling to record some messages for Zek because she's too shy. She blushes like anytime his name comes up, anytime someone talks
That's
about
because
him,
he's
anytime she's
also
in a room.
walking around shirtless.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do as a bounty hunter. That's his
It's like
bounty hunter disguise.
it's like the Kylo Ren thing.
Yeah. Zek is basically the Kylo Ren
Yeah,
uh of Legends. Well, Zek and Kip.
Ip. Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel bad for Zek because in any story that Kip is also going to be in, then it's clear that Zek just becomes an unnecessary character.
Hmm.
Like he's the no-name brand version of Kip.
Yeah. But we get to see him. Well, I guess we get to see both as a kid, but we spend more time with Zach.
Yeah. And just like with like his whole romance with Jaina doesn't make me as uncomfortable with the Kip and Jaina stuff
Hmm.
because the age gap and the ages when there's Jaina and Kip stuff going on is not good.
No. Yeah, it's really not good. But he's like he's like only 2 years older than her. Where Kip's like
Yeah, Zek
got to be
is
what?
much closer.
Kip's got to be what, like a decade older than
Yeah,
her.
I think he is 10 years older
Hmm. She's
and
like 17.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not good.
it might even be more than that. It might be more of a difference.
Hmm.
But it's yeah.
It's not good either
Yeah. I'm glad she ends up with Jag over either of them.
way. Hmm.
But if I had to rank them all, it's definitely like Jag, Zach, Kip, in like distant
That's
third.
Zach definitely won me over for a while. Like as much as I shit on Swarm War, I liked him in that, and yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy she went with Jag.
I don't hate Zach as a character. It's just he does end up feeling I don't know, once he's out of the Shadow Academy, like when he shows up in NJO, he's very secondary compared to how close he was to the kids before it.
Hmm.
Other than going to Mercure. And even in the Mercure stuff, he doesn't really interact with them very much.
Hmm.
Like he's there, he gets mentioned as being there, but it's I think it's like he shows up more in Dark Journey, or he plays more of a role in Dark Journey, and then he ends up
Honestly,
playing more of it as
Raynar
Swarm
plays
War.
more of a role than he does later on, because
Yeah,
Raynar becomes big, and then by like, well, he falls, and then he's got a very interesting character arc, especially by the time he like when he comes to Fate of the Jedi, especially where he's like sitting on the steps of the Jedi Temple with I think it's with Win Dorvin.
hmm.
Where, like they have their weekly uh lunches together or whatever.
Is Raynar the only one that survives out of the three original joined Jedi? Lomi and Welk
Mm,
definitely die.
yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's been too long since I've read the Darkness
Yeah.
trilogy.
Well, Raynar does survive for sure,
Hmm.
but yeah,
He just gets
I
old
always
real
forget
quick.
about that because he ends up in a just the Jedi Ward after that.
Yeah, for a while. I think they kind of forget about him through Legacy of the Force. Like I think it's
Yeah,
Fate of the Jedi where he's because yeah, Luke has the opportunity to kill him from what I remember at the end of Swarm War and he chooses not to.
yeah.
And then yeah. He probably would have played a pretty big role in things moving forward, I think.
Hmm.
Like, I get the idea Troy Denning really liked his character.
It does kind of seem like with here that they try to keep Raynar as the more or the less socially aware character. So Tanel Ka
Hmm.
ends up getting a bit of a boost, whereas like she's
Yep.
intentionally needling Jason with his jokes rather than just not understanding what humor is. So she's
Yeah.
kind of learned from that. But
Yeah, she's not like socially inept. She's just got a different culture. Like she's
yeah,
she's very stoic. Yeah.
because like there's a lot more Jason and Tanel Ka are the kind of established couple. They're sharing a seat. Their hands are touching. Like this is
Hmm.
this
Yeah,
is a
no,
big deal for them.
they're they're getting pretty greasy together. I like it.
Mm, mm,
Anyway, let's move on. Any so I mean the plot of this book is not super complex, just like last time. It's more just a continuation. They're still looking for um still looking for what's his name. Why am I
born
forgetting his
in
name again? Yeah, Bornin. And this
Raynar's
time
pops.
they're traveling to Mechis. And that's really it. Like, not a whole lot actually happens in this
No.
one. It's a lot of character stuff.
Yeah, it's mostly uh the stuff to find Tycho, find out that he
Hmm.
was tricking them.
Yeah.
Zek's bounty hunter story, which we did already kind of touch on. And
Hmm.
then on the Diversity Alliance side, we get we get kind of two sides of it. We get Lusa as the person who was in it, found out what they're about, and was like, nah, I'm all right. So she ends up on Yavin to tell Luke and tell the other, or tell Jaina and Jason what's actually going on with the Diversity Alliance, that she doesn't want to be involved in that. Meanwhile, you have Rabba on the other side who's trying to pull Loey into it.
Hmm.
So we find out Rabba is actually pretty well known to
Yeah.
Nala or Nola. I'm not sure.
Nola Tarcona. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a known quantity in the Diversity Alliance. She's very supportive of what they're doing. She's still like offstandish to or standoffish towards the Jedi students because she shows up initially at the academy on Yavin to find Loey, pulls Loey back to Kashyyyk, gives a speech on Kashyyyk, and starts getting some Wookiees to kind of think about what the Diversity Alliance is saying. Though
Hmm.
no one really knows yet what's going to be happening with the poison, and I assume that might be
Probably what
what kind
switches
of
her.
pulls Rabba off a little bit.
Yeah.
And Loey is now in with the Diversity Alliance. Like that's where he is when the book ends. So we'll probably get of uh, more of an examination of what they're doing and how they're doing it. With the next book, we'll probably start getting some more developments of like actually acting on their plans rather than what the last two books have been, which is like the mystery of who they are and establishing what they want to do. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Hmm. Yeah. This is like they're at the stage where they're like, she sucks. She like I'm using the multi-level marketing
Yep.
comparison again. It's like, hey, old friend, just checking up, see how you're doing. You want to meet for coffee at some point? And it's like he says yes. They show up, and then she sells him on the multi-level marketing. She's like, so I've been selling these oh these
Knives.
spices, these yeah, knives. The knives are the one that I'll tell a story about that in a minute. Selling these Cutco knives.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah. And but unlike most people who would just say no, he says yes. And this ends with him going to the big Cutco marketing conference.
Hmm.
But when I was a kid, like it was I think year of grade 12, I was looking through I think it was the phone book at the time for job or not the phone book, sorry, the newspaper for jobs. And one of them was like $15 an hour, no experience needed. And of course, like well now 15 is the minimum wage, but back then it was like 9.
Hmm.
Like now I'd obviously know that's too good to be true, but back then I didn't. So I called and they immediately wanted to give me an interview before even reading my resume. And I was like, okay, now this is starting to kind of hit as being probably too good to be true. And I call and they're like, yes. Or after I call, they give me the name of their company. They're like, coming for an interview tomorrow. And I was like, this is kind of weird. I Googled it. Turns out Cutco is this big multi-level marketing scheme. You're not actually getting $15 an hour. You're gonna get fucked over by everything. I called back and said I had a family emergency, and they're like, "Oh, that's funny. A lot of people are having family emergencies today." I was like, "Yeah, because you guys are fucked."
So I actually have a Cuckoo story too. Uh, in university, there was someone who was like a friend of a friend kind of thing, where I met
Mhm,
her in in some classes, but she was closer friends with uh, other people in my
mhm,
friend group. So luckily, so at like any parties we had, she'd be around. But she ended up getting pretty deep in multi-level marketing. She was a communication student, and a lot of the comm students were the people who would go like run for student government and then have
Yeah.
1,000 Facebook friends
Yeah.
because that was how student government campaigning worked in 2011.
Hmm.
But she ended up joining Cutco, and I think she even moved to get like a corporate office job with them after university.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's
so
gross. I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah, so or she was just like one of the few people that's like semi successful enough in it to
Hmm.
make some money initially and thought it was a
Hmm.
legitimate job.
Hmm.
So she ended up taking the contact information of my entire friend
Nice.
group and giving it to Cutco to start cold calling, and both for jobs and for sales. So when one of my friends like called her on that, oh, I was doing you a favor. It's like, no, you fucking weren't.
I had the same thing happen with one of my friends, Michael. If you're listening, I don't blame you, but he got to the point where he actually got product sent to him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like from what I hear, it's like the product itself is not bad. They're just really high end knives, like they're thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he got stuck with a lot of product, and he was just so desperate to unload it. He did like the same thing. I think he did it through our football team, like the numbers to parents and stuff. But I remember him like one time I went to a buddy's house, and Michael was just leaving, and it was like, yeah, he'd been trying to sell the knives. It's just like
Rough.
fucking yikes. And he messaged me too about it, trying to get me in. And I messaged him and being like, you know, this is a scam, right? Like they tried to get me too. And then like 3 months later, I guess once he had finally gotten out of it, he responded and he was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like it's fine. I'm just letting you know."
Yeah, but oh my god, she was. I think she went from Cutco to Vector. Maybe it was Vector the whole time, but they were
Is
like
that the
those were the
energy drink one?
two.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it was like two companies that she went between, and they were both kind of the big student predatory ones in Ottawa, at least at the time.
Hmm.
But
University Painters was another company I felt was scummy. Do you have that in Ottawa?
I don't think I've heard of that one. No,
It's like it's kind of similar where it's like their job force relies on university students, and that
right?
alone just like kind of makes me feel a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay, so thank you for listening to the
MLM
uh,
podcast.
MLM podcast. We're gonna have some people showing up at our doors in a couple minutes, but it's been fun while it lasted. We do have a
Indeed.
few, unless there's anything else you want to touch on from the book, we can jump into
Nope.
Young Jedi Knights,
Hmm.
or not the questions for Young Jedi Knights and the
Yeah, no.
podcast.
Let's do it.
Right, so we already talked about the Shatterpoint question, which was I can't find it anymore, but it's been answered. So sorry
Mm.
for whoever's name I missed there. We might come across in a second. But we have a question from Christopher Williams first, who has a similar question to something we already talked about, asking in honor of episode 69 of Tapcaf Transmissions, which I feel like we dropped the ball on
Yeah,
calling that
we
out
did.
today. Christopher wants to know who is your favorite and least favorite romantic couple in all of Star Wars?
Ooh, that's a good one. Favorite and least favorite. I gotta say, after reading Wraith Squadron, I'm not a huge fan of Gavin and what's her
Seer?
name? Asir, yeah. Just because I like the idea of it. I feel like she does them so
Yeah, when she disappears.
yeah. Um but I mean I don't like most of Luke's relationships other than Mara either.
Even like I like them in theory, but the scenes where it's just Luke and Mara
Yeah.
kind of gross. But they have a pretty healthy relationship, I think, except for when she's trying to murder him. Except for that part, but I think they're pretty good. Han and Leia,
They're my
when Han's
favorite.
not being jealous, like I think their
Yeah.
dynamic is the most fun.
Yeah. Especially even when they get older, it's still kind of fun and like they're looking after Alana. I enjoyed that stuff.
Hmm.
But that's kind of a boring answer. I'm trying to think of any EU only couples I
Like
really like.
I generally like, uh,
I hate Winter and Tycho just because
yeah,
he's a
they
home wrecker.
So Winter and Akbar is our official favorite.
Yeah,
Like I
of course.
usually like Jason and Tenelka pre Dark Nest or pre Legacy of the Force because then it gets kind of sad.
I mean,
But
I think the fact that it's sad is okay because like it's kind of realistic in a
yeah,
way. Where it's like a very far from perfect relationship, and there's like a kid involved, and then
yeah. Well,
kills your
generally anything that
grandmother.
involves eventually threatening the lives of any like he does come through for them in the end at the
He
expense of
kills
his
her
own life.
grandmother
But
and father, doesn't he?
yeah,
Like he
he kills
kills
a soldier.
Tachum and
Well, that kind
decapitates a
of
soldier.
balances out. Like I don't think Tenelka is losing
Yeah.
any sleep over Tachum.
Yeah. Yeah, she gets name dropped in this book, which was funny.
Yeah, well, because
Um,
Tenelka knows she's listening into the conversation. Tenennial and Isolder isn't great either, but I don't like
yeah.
Jason and Danny Quee, and it's not because I'm a Jason and Tenelka shipper. It was just kind of a weird relationship
What about
throughout
Wedge and
NJO.
Queezooks?
That one was weird too. I
Yeah.
preferred Wedge and Yella, and the fact that like they get there and Quee was there, like the fact that the later books just have to involve shitting on Quee's like he has to break up with her at the start of a book to fix it.
Yeah. On that note, I do like Korn and Mirax.
Yeah,
It's because for one, they're in it for a long time. They're both in the Rogue Squadron books, which are very well written from a character perspective, and then they go through this stuff in Fate of the Jedi where their kids go insane.
but what about Corn and Turtle?
Wow, I like that in a different way.
Like I think we already covered the Jaina relationships on the rankings there, but
I like Anakin and Tahiri as
yeah,
well
they're
because it's
they're
so
good
sad.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
Tahiri's like got to be the most tragic character, right?
yeah, she's got to be up there at least.
Yeah,
I mean, Anakin's pretty tragic too, but
but Anakin, like Anakin Solo or Anakin
no,
Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker, there's a much larger extent to which where like Anakin makes his own bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, the stuff like the slavery stuff, very terrible. The mom stuff, very terrible. Uh, but
But you're like, it's not
also,
that bad. I've been there.
well, also he's like before he decides to murder any of the children, which he does decide to do for very flimsy reasons at best.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tahiri, a lot of bad stuff happens to her, and then there's a lot of bad stuff she does in Legacy of the Force, but it's after she's been like to hell and back in multiple different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Tahiri had it harder than
Oh,
Anakin.
I like Dala and that Bothan admiral. I can't remember which one it is. He's like
Bothan Admiral.
sneaking.
Crafay?
Yeah, I can't
No,
remember.
no, it's not Crafay because
No, Griff. Yeah, it's can't remember his name, but
Uatu.
yeah, Admiral Watu. Yeah, yeah, I like that just because they're banging on the down low, and it's just really weird.
They're necking.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so that's the longest we've ever spent on a question, I think. Uh,
It's the
but
most
thank you,
turned on I've ever
Christopher.
been by a question too. Thank you, Christopher. Well, probably not true. All right.
The next question is from Javier saying, "Hey Corey, hey Justin, I just started watching Darth Angelus's animation of Heir to the Empire, and watching the
Nice.
Talon card scenes got me into thinking of the Mandalorian, since it might have a mini Thrawn campaign. How cool would it be if Talon Card was recanonized in one of the live-action TV shows, serving the same role he did in Legends? He'd fit perfectly in with each of the live-action TV shows, as they're dealing with the shadier side of Star Wars and will continue to. Maybe show him as
Yeah, I
someone
mean,
who's trying to replace Jabba in the underworld, or someone who plays both sides, seeing who comes out on top."
yeah, he could fit in. There's nothing like era dependent about his character. He could even fit in after episode 9, really. Yeah, he's cool. I let Antonio Banderas play him.
Like I think if we get a Talon Card reintroduction, I'd be happier seeing that maybe even after episode 9 rather than
Yeah,
in
keep him
Mandalorian.
around for a bit. That's
Because
kind of how I feel about all of it. Like reintroduce if they're gonna reintroduce the characters, treat basically move everything ahead or back 30 years.
like I feel like the role that Talon Card would play in something like The Mandalorian is already kind of filled by Grief Karga.
Hmm.
So
That's true. Yeah.
like he's more on the bounty hunter side versus the smuggler side, but that's kind of
Hmm.
the underworld figure who's actually more of a moral compass than he likes to let on. We've
Yeah.
kind of got that trope already,
Yeah.
and let him retire first, then we get something about running an underworld in a period where there's a lot of political turmoil after the governments have all collapsed after episode 9. If we're gonna bring Talon back.
Yeah. I like that. Sounds good to me.
There has been a question from Rarest Chris in chat who asked, "Do you think Sword of the Jedi by Christy Golden will ever be released?"
No.
I don't think it was even finished when it got canceled, so
I
chances
don't
of
think it
them
was anywhere.
saying
Yeah.
I don't. It
But
probably wasn't even started.
yeah, it's definitely possible.
Like maybe 20 years from now, we'll get a Heart of the Jedi thing where Christy Golden's notepad will get sold on Amazon. We'll see maybe what would have happened, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, I think there are a few more books we might get, like similar with Heart of the Jedi, but I don't think that Sword of the Jedi is one of them.
Yeah, like I think the two NJO books that got cut were actually relatively far along,
Yeah, and
but
that's something like I listened to the Star Wars timeline guys talk about this because they were the ones who basically got all the Heart of the Jedi stuff, and it seems like they've got more content that they're gonna release. And it's tough because a lot of the time back, in the 90s, like for the Bantam era, this shit was being saved on floppy disks or like
yeah,
on computers that are long gone. Like as you get further into the 2000s, the chance increases, but like you got to have one of those situations where the book is done or near done, and also saved. So like Heart of the Jedi, that's the perfect example because it was nearly completely finished. It was saved. Sword of the Jedi has one of those things because it would have been saved probably, but not very far along.
yeah, because it was very close to the buyout that Fate of the Jedi
Yeah.
was finished, or
Yeah, like if
Crucible at least was
Tarkin if
finished.
Tarkin hadn't come out, like that's one that could have leaked maybe. It all depends too. Like Tarkin probably wouldn't have because was that Lucino?
That was Lucino.
So like it also like depends like so when it comes to like James Lucino, he that's not an example where an author's going to share work
Hmm.
because he's still doing stuff with Star Wars. Um or like he still at least has, he could do stuff with Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, he's done a couple books. He's been relatively involved compared to a lot of the older
Yeah.
authors.
Where like Kenneth Flint, he's not going to do any more Star Wars stuff. So it's
Hmm.
like might as well release Heart of the Jedi to these nerds online. Um, yeah, I said it with all the love in the world.
Yeah. There was another Bad Batch question, which I'll leave starred in
Okay.
case we do another Bad Batch episode. But Hans was asking, which characters and plots do you think would you like to see explored in the Ahsoka show apart from the obvious Thrawn? I'm hoping to see more of the different Imperial warlords that were left over, like Gideon, and see how they clash with each other, how the New Republic deals with them.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I honestly want them to bring as many Rebels characters back as possible because it's frustrating to me that we never got the Rebels conclusion and like I had big hopes for Rebels sequel series and it seems like that's like that
Hmm.
was the thing that everyone was leaking. All the insiders were saying was coming. Like expect it. Like it was supposed to be out by now. When there's not even a trailer and announcement. I'm hoping that stuff has been kind of subsumed by
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. So like I want to see Zach, but it's different, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know on the warlord side, but like we're definitely getting Thrawn in there somewhere. That's what she's looking for. I do hope to see more of the Rebels characters, but other than that, I don't really have any specific expectations or hopes for Ahsoka. I'm
Yeah,
happy to be surprised.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I don't know. It's just it's hard because it's going to be the Ahsoka show.
Hmm.
Like it's not going to be Star Wars Rebel. I said Zach. I meant Zeb, by the way.
Yeah,
It's not going to be the Star Wars Rebel sequel series because it's going to be Ahsoka.
yeah, it's
I
going
don't
to be
know.
the
Like
Star Wars Rebels season 2 second half sequel.
Yeah, like there are things that I care about. I don't really care about Sabine, and like I feel like she's definitely going to be in it.
She's she's almost certainly going to be in Mandalorian, if anything, more than Ahsoka.
I
I
feel like she's
think
one of those characters that's gonna make her way into like multiple of these shows. But
maybe.
yeah, I don't
Wonder
know.
who will play her. Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah. What else were we
Uh,
talking about?
our next question comes from Joel, who says, "For today's question, would it have been interesting had Legends continued if Timothy Zahn had written a direct prequel to the Thrawn trilogy, detailing Thrawn's return to the known galaxy and him taking control of the Imperial Remnant? The story could incorporate a lot of the later additions to early post-Endor lore, like who the warlords were. Pentastar alignment back actually used them in the story material instead of source books. To add to this, would it be interesting if had Del Rey later Legends gone back to the early post-Endor period to incorporate a lot of the later lore added?"
Yeah, I don't think you need a trilogy out of it. It could have been a cool book though. You get some of it like in the source material, but yeah, I would have read it.
For the specifics of like Thrawn coming back and setting up the Empire, I feel like that actually is better as source book material.
Hmm.
Because if the main plot is just that he's coming back to start the war stuff, that's more setup. Uh, and like there are other books that were written about like Thrawn during the Empire, Thrawn setting up the Empire of the Hand, where there was more of a conflict for him. Uh, but as far as like just coming back and reestablishing control, I do think that probably ends up being fine with source book coverage. I would have liked maybe a book about uh Palian and the Pentastar alignment, or a short story. Like short stories, I think maybe might be better than source books because
Yeah,
I don't know if there's like a full book worth of stuff for it, but there used to be so many short stories and like
I think
Insider,
you
the
can.
adventure guides.
I think if you go and write stuff about like him in the Empire of the Hand as well, then I think you can get a book out of it. Like before he leaves and returns, like tie it in with the trilogy and the duology. Like I think it'd be cool to have something like that, kind of connecting
Yeah.
them better. But yeah,
Number names asking, do you think there will be a canon and legends crossover, like different universes meeting? No, I
no,
think that's
probably
definitely
not.
not going to happen. And then
Somebody in the chat also asked about the character from the High Republic that has the. It looks like they've got Von Dune crab armor on their face, and yeah, I did see that character called Quart, Qort. And the first time I saw her, I thought is like, oh, is she like baby Darth Crate? Because
mm,
that's what I don't remember if Darth Crate has Von. I don't think he's got Von Dune crab armor. His is something different, I believe.
yeah, he's
Um,
yeah, the
it's
his is
Bane who's got
closer to
the
Bane esque armor.
yeah.
It is
Oh,
Vong made though.
actually
It's
no,
Vong made, but I don't think it's Von
no.
Dune Crab, is it?
I just googled. Oh yeah, Von Dune crab is the one. What's the one Bane has? No, it is
He
Von
had
Dune crab
the
that Crate
fucking
has.
edgelord paint armor.
Yeah, I
Bane.
thought that was because isn't that a type of crab as well? Anyway, he did have crab armor. I was mistaken. So everything I just said is completely wrong.
But isn't it
Um,
different from the standard Vodun Crab armor? Like it's not like standard Yuzon Vong.
I mean, it
Uh,
looks different, but it's yeah,
it's a Yuzon Vong armor type, but I don't think it was the.
yeah. I'm just reading what the Star Wars wiki page says.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't really know.
But yeah, like I don't think a crossover between Legends or canon would be. I think that would be difficult for a lot of people to follow, including us.
Yeah.
The idea that they like go between universes or something, and there's a lot of the very bad uh fan theories of like, oh, the world between worlds is like going to be a retcon to everything I don't like, and no, that's also not happening.
Yeah, the very, very best we can hope for is more legend stuff. It's possible. I mean, this is why you've got to support, like, if you're a fan of Star Wars Legend stuff, you should really buy these reissues and buy the
Hmm.
audiobooks. Like, for me, I don't think there's a great possibility. I think there's a small possibility. What I do think is possible, though, and very possible, is we get all of these Star Wars Legends abridged audiobooks made into unabridged versions. Like
Yeah,
I know there is a cost there, But I think that's an example where like maybe you can get to the point where the cost is less than what they're earning. So like, and that's not new material, but for a lot of people, like just off my numbers, like when I get a lot of people to try audiobooks the first time. It's a really good way to get into to Star Wars and books. So like any little thing you can do is helpful.
Yeah, like I don't think it's impossible that we get something new in Legends written. Like we had the Marvel comic issue come out.
Yeah,
Uh,
108. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not impossible. I don't think it's super likely. I don't think it's something they're actively planning for.
Hmm.
Uh, but there was another question of like, do you think EU fans would consider it real Legends? And I don't think there's any reason they wouldn't. Like, you if somehow there was an announcement that Michael Stackpole was going to be writing a new X-wing novel in the Legends continuity, I don't think anyone would be like, no, that's not Legends. Like,
Yeah. But you did say of Michael Stackpole, I think if like
it's definitely not going to be Aaron Alston that writes a new X-wing. So,
no, but I mean if like Cavan, is it Cavan Scott? Is that's his name, right?
yeah,
If he wrote a new Legends book, I think like and this is nothing against Cavan Scott personally. It's just he's just the first canon writer. I thought like I think maybe that would be a case where people like
yeah.
the hardcore angry fans might get mad. Like I
Yeah, but
personally don't
that'd be
give a
true to the
shit.
same extent that like when NJO came out and then Darkness came out and then Legacy of the Force came out and Fate of the Jedi came out and Crucible came out and the Legacy comics
Hmm.
came out. That even at that point people said this isn't real Star Wars. I don't think
Yeah,
the response would be much different than that.
totally agree. Totally agree.
But
Well,
uh
I think that's we should probably end it there. We've got some Sea of Thieves to do tonight. It's gonna be great fun. We're starting that in 15 minutes over on you're doing it on your channel too, right?
yes.
Yeah, Corey loses and X2. But yeah, make sure you guys leave the podcast reviews. I'm gonna check them again next episode. Um, if you want us to read your podcast reviews, I will. I mean, I'll probably read them anyway. But if you want to really make sure I read them, include the word crab in there at some point. Crab.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it can't be crab armor. So
Well, we're approaching the weekend, so I hope you're all able to let loose and that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for listening.
bye everybody.
Bye.